Hello folks, Dick Fairburn here. Bit of a brisk morning, November 8th, 2024. A good day in the United States. If I knew how to get around all of YouTube's copyright rules on music, I would probably change the theme of my video today to the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Trump won on Tuesday the 5th. And he won big enough to beat the rig. Our prayers were answered. But this is not the end of a political battle. It really should just be the beginning. Stick around and I'll tell you why. The fact is, I think Trump won big enough last Tuesday to stun the leftists into submission, at least for a while. And I said in my last video, he has to win big enough to beat the rig. And he did. But the fanatics on the left who are kind of in the background, not Harris, not Biden, not some in the mainstream media, but those kind of working in the background, now, they're not willing to give up just yet. Now, I think our country's silent majority showed up to vote on the 5th. They have finally had enough of the woke, leftist political agenda. And they handed them a huge defeat. And it was across all demographic categories. Men, women, blacks, whites, Latinos, everyone. So the losers have begun their normal, endless blame game for Harris's failure. And they're quoting every possible reason except one. And the thing that they will not accept is that their underlying political philosophy of government is an absolute abject failure. It's been an ever-growing failure for 50 years, and it finally reached critical mass. And the Trumpers were able to beat the never-Trumpers and put him back in power. Now, while these leftist politicians and their sycophantic apologizers in the legacy media, what they're unable to understand is the truth of their failure. They failed because, in my opinion, they're crazy. And I don't use that word lightly. I think these people are demonstrably mentally ill. They are unable to process reality and see that it is their own ideas that brought about their failure. Now, most people think that crazy people appear to be crazy all the time. But people who deal with those kind of people on a regular basis, like cops, I can tell you, having dealt with a lot of those kind of people over the years, they seem perfectly normal most of the time. In fact, many of them are highly intelligent, highly articulate. They are masters at holding up a mask of sanity that fools most onlookers. So you got to pay attention carefully to what they say, because often it isn't what you see, but it's what you hear that tells you that their brains are just not, they're not quite pointing true north. They're a little off. And these fanatical, crazy people never, ever see themselves as the source of their own problems. And when they lose, when they fail, they grow ever more zealous trying to succeed. They get crazier. And we're going to see that happen over the next 4 years. Now the polls, which as usual were not all that accurate, but where I do think they have a true measure of the American population is the polls said the main three issues in this election, in order of importance, were the economy, illegal immigration, and abortion rights. But what were the issues that the Harris campaign focused on? In their order of importance: abortion rights, trans rights, and protecting democracy from Donald Trump. And we saw that protecting democracy crop up in several different polls. But you know what I think? I don't think that was necessarily that much of an issue for the left, that they were afraid of Trump. I mean, they are. They're terrified of Trump. And they're willing to say totally insane things that he will supposedly do, even though he's already been president for 4 years and didn't do any of those things. I think that protecting democracy issue was really on our side. It was on the right. We were convinced that if Trump didn't win, it could be the end of this republic, our democratic style of government as we know it. But giant misalignment in priorities. I think that's what caused Harris's loss. Their view of the country is completely off target. Their compass doesn't point north. And in their view, you and I are too damn stupid to know what's good for us, and therefore they have to tell us how to live. And they are convinced they have the right to tell us how to live. So Harris and Biden have both said, gee, there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power. We lost. Well, they didn't really say they lost. They said that Trump won. They didn't really congratulate him, of course, because they just can't bring themselves to do that. But their tone has changed, of course. All of a sudden he went from a fascist Nazi to someone that they can invite to the White House and ensure that there's going to be a smooth transition of power. Yeah, that's at their level. But look in the background. I'm going to show you a video here from New York Attorney General Letitia James. Here's her take on the Trump win and her plans about what she's going to do with it.
Democratic AGs across this country to make sure that we would be ready to respond to any attempt to roll back our rights. So here we are. We've studied their platforms. We've identified certain possibilities, fact patterns. We've created contingency plans. So no matter what the next administration throws at us, we're ready. We're ready to respond to their attacks. We're ready to respond to any attempts to cut or eliminate any funding to the great state of New York, as the governor outlined. So despite what has happened on the national stage, we will continue to stand tall in the face of injustice, revenge, or retribution. We will continue to protect our most vulnerable and marginalized amongst us, because it is my sworn duty and responsibility to lead that fight, working with the governor of this great state, Kathy Hochul. This is not the time to be fearful, New York, but faithful and steadfast, knowing that I, as the Attorney General, along with my entire team, we are guardians of the law, and we are prepared, my friends, to fight back.
Now, if you recall, this is the Attorney General who attempted to bankrupt the Trump organization by inventing fraud where there were not even any complaining victims. In cooperation with the New York City prosecutor's office, they used never-before interpretations of statutes to obtain 34 rigged felony convictions against him, trying to stop him from becoming elected with lawfare. And they used perhaps the most corrupt judge in judicial history. He's supposed to rule next week on whether the Supreme Court ruling on the presidential exemption will knock out those convictions. It'll be interesting to see what he says. If he wants to save his career as a judge, he will probably throw those convictions out. But I'm not convinced he'll do it. Letitia James also attempted to utterly destroy the National Rifle Association, since they are actually incorporated in New York State. Inadvertently, her actions against the NRA may have saved the organization from destruction, because the courts totally rejected her lawfare against the NRA. They did not allow her to destroy the organization. Instead, they focused on the corruption within the NRA, and that resulted in the ouster of Wayne LaPierre. She intended to destroy the National Rifle Association, and she may have inadvertently saved the organization. Now, I'm going to play a couple videos from a guy named Glenn Kirshner, an attorney, one of the most fanatical leftists on YouTube. In his own mind, his own legend of his own mind, he is God's gift to law. Listen to what he says about what's going to happen with Trump and the possibility of Trump becoming president.
Will the 14th Amendment's disqualification clause of an insurrectionist from ever holding office again, will that make an appearance? Remember that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says, in plain, straightforward, unambiguous terms, that anybody who takes an oath to support and defend the Constitution, who thereafter engages in insurrection or gives aid and comfort to insurrectionists, is disqualified from ever holding office again, unless both houses of Congress, by a 2/3 vote to remove the disqualification. An insurrectionist is disqualified from holding office. And remember, friends, Donald Trump is an adjudicated insurrectionist by both a state trial court and a state Supreme Court. Now, I acknowledge the United States Supreme Court, when it took up the issue, said, well, that doesn't mean a state can disqualify him from having his name on a presidential primary ballot. Fair enough. That's not what the 14th Amendment says. It says he can't hold office, not that he can't have his name appear on a primary ballot. So that is still an open question, an unanswered question. Is he disqualified under the express language, the very words of the Constitution? The answer should be yes. So it follows that Congress should have to take a vote.
According to Kirshner, the 14th Amendment clause dealing with insurrection is going to keep Trump from ever holding office as president, because an adjudicated insurrectionist cannot hold office unless the majority of both the House and Senate vote to allow that to happen. This is why I say they're crazy. The Supreme Court has already ruled on Kirshner's 14th Amendment insurrectionist allegation. When the Colorado Supreme Court upheld a Colorado local court who were going to bar Trump from even being on the ballot in the state of Colorado, this went to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, no, that claim does not hold water. States do not have the authority to make that ruling. He's not an adjudicated insurrectionist just because some liberal judge says so. He has to go to trial and be convicted of it. And you would think any lawyer should know better. Maybe Kirshner should go to whatever law school he went to, the Cracker Jack School of Law, and demand his money back because he's been taught very badly. His claim holds absolutely no water whatsoever. But fanatics only hear what they want to hear. So he thinks Trump's certification and inauguration can be stopped. Wow. Here's another video. He goes on to say some other things.
We all have heard Donald Trump several times saying he's willing to use the military to go after the enemy from within. And even when Fox News hosts would try to push him off of the enemy from within, he would say, no, no, no. I'm talking about my political opponents and enemies. I have to believe Fani Willis has probably earned herself a marquee spot as a Donald Trump political nemesis, enemy, opponent. So will he unlawfully use the military, abusing his presidential power, use the military and somehow intervene in the Georgia state prosecutions that can proceed against his co-defendants? It's anybody's guess. This is Donald Trump, and this is unfortunately who a majority of the American people just voted to return to presidential power, even though he's an avowed day one dictator. He said he'll terminate portions of the Constitution, and he said he'll use the military against American citizens. This is where we are.
Now, to claim some of the things that Kirshner and the media are saying, that this guy's he's going to start, internment camps for his enemies. He's going to use the military against those who oppose him. Where the hell does that come from? Now, according to him, Trump said these things on Fox News. You go look up all the clips you can find on Trump's news, you won't find Trump saying any of those things. You won't even find him saying things that can be misinterpreted as those things. Trump has said on multiple occasions, his idea of retribution is success. Harris has no kind of track record from ruling anyone. What little she did as vice president went along with Biden's program, or Bernie Sanders' program, or Obama's program, or Susan Rice's program, or whoever the hell was pulling Biden's strings. Trump actually ran the country for 4 years. And he did something I have never seen any politician do in my lifetime. He made promises and he kept them. He actually did what he said he would do. Politicians like Harris will tell you what they claim they're going to do for you and then do the opposite normally. They lie to you. Trump didn't. That may be why they hate him so much. So even though these attorneys like Kirshner, even though they may come across as articulate and highly intelligent, if you scratch the surface of his claims, it's really little more than a coat of paint. And when you scratch through that little thin coating of paint, his statements immediately fall flat on their face. His allegations of what Trump said cannot be backed up anywhere. That doesn't matter to him. He's a fanatic, a babbling fanatic, in my humble opinion. Now, Harris delayed her concession to Trump and her concession speech clear into the next day. I suspect that's because there were some pretty high-level meetings going on. They were trying to decide what to do. I predicted in my last video that this period, from a Trump win to a Trump swearing in, could be the most dangerous time in our country's history. I don't think it's going to be. I think I was wrong. A commenter I saw the other night, took me to task. Said, well, all your threats of violence during the summer and all the things that were going to happen, you were wrong. Yeah, I was. And I'm glad I was wrong. And I hope I'm wrong about the stuff that they're going to try to do in the next couple of months. But I'll believe it when I see it. So I think Biden and Harris saw this huge win. Even Obama was backed off. They're not sure what to do about it. But that doesn't mean they're going to slow down the Kirshners and the Letitia James and the people out there who will try to stab Trump in the back from Wednesday until he's gone. The attacks they used against him in the first 4 years of him being president will probably pale in comparison to what they're going to try to do now. We don't know the outcome of the House. It is possible, at least vaguely possible, that the Democrats could take power in the House. Will they try to impeach him again? Yeah, probably. Because that's the kind of idiots they are. It didn't work last time, twice, but they'll try it again, just because somehow they think that makes them look powerful, makes Trump look bad. And most Democratic politicians, when they lose as big as Harris did, they're done. Their party throws them in the ash heap. But her concession speech on Wednesday was an I'm going to run again speech. stick with me because we're going to do this next time kind of speech. I think there's a possibility between now and January that we could still see Biden drift off into the sunset. They'll 25th Amendment him in some way and put her in as the president to finish out the term. What better way to try to salvage her political career than to make her the first female president of the United States, even if only for a couple of weeks? That would put her top of the heap as a Democratic presidential candidate next time. So I think we're going to see Trump sail easily through the certification of the Electoral College and inauguration. But during this interim and from that point on, we're going to see the leftists and the legacy media wage absolute war on Trump's second presidency, probably with more intensity than they did on his first term. That's to be expected. Here's another thing that is to be expected based on my experience that I think we need to change. We are also likely to see Republican politicians do what they always do when they win: turn into pussies. They are afraid to build on this historic landslide victory. They always turn into wimps. And I think they do it to try to get positive press from the legacy media. You know, they allow the minority Democrats to do whatever the hell they want to do, even though the Republicans won. And in this case, won big. We won the election. Let's act like it. If you're in charge, be in charge. And don't be bashful about it. Force your will on the party that you defeated. That's exactly what they do when they win. Now, the media is going to trash the Republicans no matter what they do or no matter what they say. So, Republicans, ignore them and do the right thing. Change this country. Throw the liberal woke agenda into the ash can of history where it belongs. Instead of trying to, oh, well, now we're going to get along. We're going to be magnanimous. We are going to be the good guys. Screw the good guys. You beat them. So beat them. For almost 50 years, we have allowed this country to be dominated by minority rule. Here's an example. Now, I'm sure they're going to come up with legalistic reasons why I'm wrong. But the Senate currently, today, has 47 Democrats, 49 Republicans. But the Democrats have the majority rule in the Senate. Now, they have that because there are 4 independent senators who caucus with the Democrats. My grandpa had a farm when I was a kid. He raised Angus cattle. I know bullshit when I smell it. There are 47 Democrats and 49 Republicans. The Republicans hold the majority. The independents don't even have the balls to declare a party. So the Democrats should not be allowed to count their votes to give them the majority in the Senate. This is Chuck Schumer beating down Mitch McConnell because we are too goddamn weak to stand up to them. That day needs to be gone. We won. We need to act like it. Why do we allow our Republican congressional members to kowtow to the Democrats when we won? Get on the phone, get on the email, and tell your Republicans to start acting like they got a pair. The media is going to excoriate the Republicans no matter what they do or what they say. So ignore the damn media and kick the Democrats while they're down. We won the election, but we're going to lose this battle if we don't learn to act like we're in charge. Now, those of us who are on the side of sanity, we need to do the same thing at the state and local level. We need to no longer tolerate the crap these liberals have been trying to shove down our throats for 50 years. To me, the most egregious example of this is the stuff that's going on in our schools. We've let the liberals take over the court systems. We've let the liberals take over the university systems. Now they're trying to take over the grade schools, and they're succeeding. That's how communism works. They institutionalize. the population over long term, and they convince them that sane reality is wrong and that they should go along with the liberals. Get involved with your school board meetings. Run for the school board if you need to get on there. Try to stop some of the insanity that's going on. Okay? Like, what do they call him? Tampax Tim, Harris's VP candidate, got a law passed in Minnesota to put Tampax machines in the boys' bathrooms or girls' bathrooms or whatever it was. The point is, they want boys to be able to pee in the girls' bathrooms. They want boys to be able to play and win in girls' sports. That's nuts. Okay, this is trans rights. You know what, folks? A lot of aspects of the trans issue used to be considered mental illness until a few years ago. But we had to change that because we don't want to hurt their self-esteem. We can't agree with the fact that these people are a little troubled and they need some help. Here's the one that drives me the furthest off the edge. This video. Drag Queen Story Hour for small children.
Another blaring example, drag queen story time. It's happening in Canada and America, where some public schools and libraries invite drag queens, some dressed like horned demons, to read to young children.
And it's a social deconstructionist agenda. They're using children, little 5-year-olds, to accomplish this. And parents are waking up and saying no.
When asked about parents' rights, Auger says,
well, actually, in Canada, parents' rights are limited and children's rights are put ahead. So the child has the right to be protected from the parents when the parents behave badly.
I remember as a kid, went on vacation with my parents to New Orleans one year, and they thought I was old enough to be left in the hotel room by myself, ordering a pizza, while they went to some kind of show that was not fit for young children to go to. And it was some kind of drag queen show, male impersonating female singers and things in New Orleans. And they talked about it for months afterwards. They thought it was absolutely hilarious. Nobody took those people seriously until now. Now we think it's okay to tell our children how to behave. Small school kids. Okay, this video talked about it, in Canada, apparently children's rights trump parental rights. Well, that's not the case in most parts of the United States, but in California, other leftist states, they are systematically trying to strip parents of their parental rights. Don't allow them to do this. Raise so much hell, they eventually have to stop this stuff. Now, I'm not promoting physical violence at all. Stand up, speak up, get on the board. We have to convince these people through their mentally disturbed brains that their way of thinking is totally wrong. And that we, the silent majority of this country, are no longer going to tolerate it. And it's not just here, folks. We're seeing nationalist type movements like Trump starting to win in Europe as well. They're getting tired of this crap too. As I said, I am not suggesting physical violence to stop the minority groups who have been taking power. But they've been doing this for decades, and we let them do it. If there's going to be violence, I suggest it's going to come from them as normal when we resist them. We're not out there burning our cities in 2020. That was Antifa. Totally affiliated with the leftists, the Democrats. They are not going to give up easily on what they want to accomplish. We have to totally convince them and the rest of our population that what they're doing is not just a difference of opinion. It is evil. And we're no longer going to put up with it. So as long as evil, crazy politicians remain in positions of power, the Trump landslide is going to be blunted. Now, at the national level, who do I mean by these kind of people, these miscreants? Chuck Schumer, Dick Durbin, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, AOC and her squad. Now, I know these people are difficult to defeat at the polls. Dick Durbin, senator from Illinois, my home state in the People's Republic of Illinois. He is, in my opinion, one of the most repugnant politicians to ever live. A couple of years ago, he was campaigning with J.B. Pritzker, our governor, that I called J.B. the Hut. I was still working. The mayor and I were in his office. We looked out the window, and in the downtown square of our community, bus pulls up, and here's J.B. Pritzker running for governor, and Dick Durbin's with him. And the mayor, hardcore conservative Republican like me, he goes, "Come on, I want to go ask that no good Rutzen Fratzen Durbin. I want to ask him a couple of questions. You want to come over? Come on, shake his hand and give him hell about something." I go, "No, if I shake this guy's hand, I'm going to be sorely tempted to rip it off and beat him in the head with the stub. Because that's all this guy deserves. But we can't get rid of him. The Chicago Democratic machine ensures that Durbin will win big for as long as he wants to. Many of these Democrats are ethically challenged, let's say. Like Nancy Pelosi's husband and the insider trading fortune he has made for them over the years. Okay? They used the Department of Justice to try to destroy Trump. Falsely. Trump should use the Department of Justice to destroy these liberal politicians legitimately. Because most of them have a track record that should end up in prison. But we let them get away with it. Even Trump, in his first campaign, lock her up for Hillary. And then he said, well, that wouldn't be the right thing to do. And he let her get away with it. Those people need to go behind bars. They need to understand that they have to live by the same rules as everybody else. And that when they don't, they need to suffer for it. They need to lose their liberty for it. If they are attorneys, at the very least, we should disbar them and take away any potential for them to use their profession again. Why do we tolerate these monstrous people who are bent on destroying this country? Benjamin Franklin described our new nation in the day as a republic, if you can keep it. If we don't stay strong, if we don't stay active, if we don't capitalize on this Trump landslide victory, we can still lose this republic. The crazy leftists that we have in politics and the media that support them are merely going to restart their incremental march towards communism. We've hampered them a couple times along the way. They just get started again. Because we forget we are the nice people that don't really like to get in a fight, and we let them start working their ways into our society again. They use their hateful language to prove that they are really nothing more than schoolyard bullies. And the only way to defeat schoolyard bullies is for strong people to come together, stand up to the bullies, beat them down, and then kick them while they're down. Make sure they understand what's going to happen if they get up and try to bully people again. Now, again, I do not mean a physical beatdown unless they start it. What I mean is get in their face. Call out their insanity every time you see it. They are the minority in this country, but the minority has been making the rules here for far too long. And it is past time they came to that understanding. So here's my final message. Be of good cheer. I'm sorry if this comes across as a terribly negative video. I'm trying to turn a positive into a bigger positive. We won a major, huge victory Tuesday, November 5th. Act like it. Act like the winner. Force your politicians at the state, local, national levels to act like winners. To take advantage of this mandate and continue it. To beat these crazy people back from the majority. Because they are not the majority. They are the minority. We won a huge victory on Tuesday. So let's act like it. Let's act like the winners. We don't have to be rude. We don't have to be obnoxious. But we don't have to take any crap from these people anymore. Let's shove them into the background where they belong. They are not the majority in this country. They do not hold the upper hand in terms of moral values in this country. They are wrong. They are stupid. and they are crazy. So let's use that to beat them down, rhetorically, not physically. The 250th anniversary of the independence of the United States of America will come on July 4th, 2026. President Trump wants a year-long celebration. He's calling it a national state fair that he wants to put together in Iowa, the center of the country. Let's help him with that. Let's celebrate that. Let's use that patriotism to change this country dramatically for a long time to come. Let's put ourselves back into the majority of what's going on in our political process. Let's make America great again. It was always a good phrase. Let's build on it. Be safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. Be of good cheer. Thank you for watching the videos. If you like what I'm doing, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, or resubscribe as necessary. I'm positive for the future of this country, and I hope you are too.
Okay, we got them both here now. You ready? Bud got one. Ginger got one. Oh, she missed it. She usually gets them, doesn't she, Bud? Okay, girl, last one. You ready? You ready? Yeah! That's all there is till next time.